everybody. It's a special Pillar to Post WrestleMania post-game show. Mike Gill, Tom Morgan. We just got done watching WrestleMania, and wow, we just saw the cash-in, and we have a new champion. So I guess we'll start right there. We just saw it happen literally 5 minutes ago. It ended, and we're right on Pillar to Post here on the on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. You called the cash in a while back, so you're not too surprised.
No, I'm not surprised at all. It was about 3 months in the making, actually. He had the briefcase for a very long time. Seth Rollins, a lot of people not liking the idea of Roman Reigns winning the WWE Championship. And now you really have Brock Lesnar, who very well could be a babyface now moving forward. At least that's the rumor. He's re-signed with WWE, so the options are limitless now. I'm not surprised at all at Seth Rollins, especially now that he lost to Randy Orton earlier that night.
Yeah, and they did it by not pinning Brock. He got, it was Reigns who took the pin.
Right.
So they keep Brock kind of looking strong. Although at the end there, they had him bleeding like a sieve.
Yeah. And then the whole no blood policy. I'm sure either that was, Vince was either probably irate backstage or just said, hey, it's WrestleMania, let this happen.
Let this happen, right.
It was just a mess.
So Reigns at the end, he kind of made himself look relevant.
Right.
Obviously, Brock looked great throughout early, and then here comes Rollins with the cash-in late in the match. I'm not shocked by it. I had mentioned before that maybe you would see some sort of Shield reunion where they had planned this whole thing out to try to take over and take control, but obviously this now sets up something. I would think Reigns and Rollins now would be where you're heading.
Yeah, definitely. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a triple threat, really. Extreme Rules
coming up
is a good pay-per-view. We could see something like that. But, if they do this right, I would expect Seth Rollins to hold the title and be the true heel in the WWE. And I think that's what they've been trying to do in the last couple months. Try to build that up, have him be the true heel, the guy that everyone seems to protect. He cashed in his briefcase, so he didn't truly win the WWE Championship. So I think we're going to get a lot of that moving forward, and I'm excited. I think it's going to open up to a lot of other possibilities of other wrestlers, guys like maybe a Roman Reigns or even a Dean Ambrose or someone like that to go forward and have themselves a contendership for the WWE Championship.
Well, overall, did you like the match? I thought the match was pretty good. Brock dominated early, and then obviously, Reigns had that little run late in the end. But how about Reigns kind of laughing, smiling, almost like a sadistic as he's getting his butt kicked. He's kind of got this. So I thought they did a good job because Reigns was getting booed. Mm-hmm. People were not, sold on him to begin with. He got booed. But I thought he did a good job making himself, with the whole laughing and the way that he kind of came in late at the end there. I thought he did a good job of making his character feel like bigger than he was entering the match.
Yeah, I think so too. And I was really hoping this wasn't going to be one of those Muhammad Ali things where Reigns is going to let Brock Lesnar just beat the living crap out of him. And then once every ounce of energy is out of Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns comes back and wins. And that was my fear. I think that was our fear. That didn't happen. I think it was a kind of a strategy that made us feel like Roman Reigns was going to end up winning and surprise us all. But Seth Rollins, your new WWE champion, no shock at all. And I'm hoping that Twitter and social media in the WWE universe isn't like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Because come on, how long?
We're kind of looking at it right here live as we're doing the show.
Right.
But I haven't really been able to check a lot of the reaction other than Slam City. Biatch was Suplex City, was trending. It still looks like it is trending worldwide.
Right.
The match before that, Bray Wyatt against Undertaker. I thought the Undertaker's entrance and Bray Wyatt, all the entrances were hurt by the light. The daylight really hurt. We talked about it in the Pillar to Post pregame show with Andrew Goldstein earlier this week. The Undertaker's entrance was just nothing. It wasn't. We're on TV watching it on the WWE Network. We couldn't get that feeling. I thought Sting needed the light, and then you got Bray Wyatt coming out with a lantern in broad daylight. I thought that really hurt the feeling of those entrances. But it wasn't vintage great Undertaker, but for a 50-year-old guy, he hung in there and he did what he had to do.
He looked like the old bartender that had a crazy past and some not so nice guys walked into his bar and finally the guy snapped out of it and started fighting again. He had that look on his face. I didn't really think he looked that great, but honestly, he was taking the bumps quite well. He took them Took him a lot better than last year against Brock Lesnar, that's for sure. Of course, two completely different wrestlers in Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with Taker. I know that they showed him in the ad for the next year's WrestleMania in Dallas. I don't know if that means he's going to wrestle. I don't know if that means he's going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame next year. But Taker looked good, and in the ring at least. I mean, he was a little slow, but physically you could really see his age.
Yeah, I mean, I know Pete was here too, my producer Pete G, and you thought he didn't look as good. I didn't think he looked terrible.
No.
He's 50.
But for what it's worth.
For what he was and what he is, he looked slower than normal. He wasn't quite as agile as. That's what made him. He was 6'10". He was agile. That's what made him so special. He wasn't quite as agile, but he still looked like he could wrestle again next year.
Yeah.
The question is now he wins 22-1. Where does Bray go now? What do you do with him now? What's the next angle for him? I can't really see which direction he goes in now.
I would think a winner of a Royal Rumble, really. I think Bray Wyatt...
But that's not until next...
Oh, I know.
What's he do from now to then?
But I think that we're going to see guys like Bray Wyatt and Rusev get the push that they're deserving. I think what they're doing is they're doing what they should have done with guys like The Miz and Sheamus when they rushed him to the title. Wade Barrett, they're giving them their losses, they're giving them their build-up, and then finally they'll get the title that they deserve later on. I think what they're doing, and we're going to talk about the Intercontinental title match later on, but they're doing what, to Bad News Barrett, what they should have done when he was the leader of the Nexus. When he was hot, keep making him hot, have some great matches, lose some, win some, don't give him the title, and now they're doing that with Bray Wyatt. They're doing that with guys like Rusev.
Yeah, it wasn't a 5-star match by any stretch, but I had some cool moments when the Undertaker got up and Bray was upside down and he looked at him like, oh no,
Right.
You had the Tombstone Pile Driver the first time and Bray kicks out of it and the disbelief from the Undertaker. So you had some cool moments. I do got to say again though, I thought the two entrances were both ruined by the daylight. The WWE cannot do a daytime West Coast, it can't do it. Outdoors can't do it, sorry.
Yeah.
Three entrances were, at least three, were ruined by the daylight.
I think the setup, though, the WrestleMania stage in the WWE Network,
was great.
Actually, they're replaying the WrestleMania right now on the WWE Network as we're doing this pillar to post. The setup, the stage was magnificent.
It was awesome.
Really good. I don't know. I think that regardless of, yes, would the entrances be better if it was at night? Yes. I don't think that,
It doesn't ruin the match.
It didn't ruin the match. And,
all right, but before we go to some of the 24-minute Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Rock, and then Ronda Rousey enters the mix. I mean, I was joking that they were stalling to try to get the sun to go down so that Undertaker's entrance could look better.
Very well could have, yeah.
Did you think that went on too long? Did you like it? I mean, a lot of people were thinking that it could set up a Ronda Rousey Stephanie McMahon match at WrestleMania for next year. Like, you would be booking it right there.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, but do you think we see Rousey? So, overall, I thought it went a little... I was a huge fan of The Rock before The Rock was even big. I liked him back when he was before the Nation of Domination. He's always kind of been my favorite guy, but I got to be honest, he rambles too much sometimes when he comes out.
Right.
And his spots seem to go a little too long. I thought tonight went a little too long.
Well, I think that, again, they're trying to fill up time slots. They imagine WrestleMania being a 4-hour show. It's just like Monday Night Raw being 3 hours. You're trying to find things to fill up the time. So with a thing like WrestleMania, it's not like the Acolytes can fill up that time, kind of like what they do on Monday Night Raw.
Hey, could have put the 31-man Battle Royal in that 24 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. And it's amazing that they had two matches in the blackout card. But anyways, I liked it a lot. I think it was entertaining. That's the idea of WrestleMania and the Super Bowl of the sports entertainment world is the entertainment. It was nice to see The Rock come back in the ring. It was nice to see Triple H get back into character. At the end of the Sting Triple H match, he showed respect. He shook his hand. Whatever, kind of broke character a little bit there. And Stephanie McMahon, kudos to her, being the actress that she is, unbelievable acting. I mean, she's thanking the fans and their support and everything that they built for. This is WrestleMania, and then all the thanks goes to her, and then he goes right into character. Triple H, the same thing.
You had even said, I hate the fact that they're not...
I hate the fact that they're breaking character.
Right.
That was my first comment, and right when I said that, they went right back into character, and I thought they had me fooled. I thought the segment was great.
I liked the segment. I thought it was a little long.
I thought it was great. I think that the length, is what it is. To have a little bit of sunset, to help the entrances for Bray Wyatt and Taker and even Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns for that matter.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I think that daylight is what it is, but I think you can't limit from going to the West Coast.
Well, I am one that loves that's part of, when people talk about, oh, you're like wrestling, or it's more than just that. It's the pageantry of the entrances that make these events what they are. When you're there live, that's part of it. When you're in that stadium and you don't get the full Undertaker coming down, I mean, it's not the same, and it takes away from what the pageantry is of these big events. I mean, wrestling is more than just the actual match. It's the entrances, it's the outfits, it's all the stuff. It's like a Broadway musical almost. Right. That's what people don't get a lot of times. They think it's just this ridiculous
guys
thing.
in tights.
Exactly, but there's a lot more that goes into it when you suspend the disbelief and expand your mind a little bit. And the entrances make that.
Sure.
Bray Wyatt walking down the aisle with a lit lantern in broad daylight looks asinine. Doesn't make any sense,
No,
so a decent match.
But could you see him without the lantern, though?
No, but that's why doing it in that setting didn't really work.
Yeah.
Cena beats Rusev. He's the U.S. champion.
Right.
A little bit of a TNA bump at the end there. Lana gets knocked out of the ring. Now Lana, and I think they've been trying to write Lana out because she's doing a movie.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way that but
to do that.
I didn't love this build-up anyway. Cena got booed out of the joint, so it's hard for him to be the guy representing America when he's getting booed.
Yeah, well, I think that this was a classic Russia versus America theme for this year's WrestleMania. It was like 1985 all over again.
We talk about the pageantry. Rusev comes rolling in on a tank. That's what makes it.
That was cool. I thought that was great. I thought Rusev's entrance was better than Triple H's entrance with all the Terminators and whatnot. But I thought his entrance was probably the best one. Yeah, I think with this scenario, Russia versus USA. But I love the fact that people are booing Cena because I'm really hoping that this is going to set up for a large heel turn that will help the WWE in the long term. But the problem is they have to find the babyface, and they may have to.
Could it be Brock?
It might be, but he's a part-time wrestler. Yeah. So
he just signed a 3-year deal.
Yeah, but he's still going to be part-time.
That's true.
The next 3 years, he's going to be part-time. So
maybe he could be the guy part-time, still doing all the appearances and stuff.
Yeah, I mean you've got to. I think that right now, Cena being a face is fine, but I think that will help WWE overall by making that huge change. I think Cena would make a great heel. He's done it before. I don't think he'd come out in his little word life, but I think he'll do exactly what we all thought he was going to do. He would be talking about why the fans are always booing him and always turning their backs toward him.
Yeah.
And it's going to have years of history behind it because ever since I can remember, when Cena was winning all these titles and the Fruity Pebble shirts and the shorts or whatever, people were booing him.
The jorts.
Yeah, and depending on where you're at, like if you're in the Northeast, if you're in Philadelphia, he's going to get booed. But if you go to my hometown, Roanoke, Virginia, he's going to get cheered. So it depends on where you go. But you make him a heel turn, you still have that shock value from the people in Roanoke saying, oh my God, he's heel. And then the people in Philly are going to love that. It's going to help him a lot. So that's what I'm hoping for.
All right. We had, so that match, they were the last three. We had the Divas match in there. The Sting Triple H match was the third match on the card.
A little surprised by that. I was a little surprised by that.
Well, and again, I thought Sting's entrance was cool. It got hurt by not being dark out because I thought they could have done so much more with it. They tried to amp it up by having the guys playing the drums and everything.
Yeah.
When he came out, look, I'm a Sting fan. I really enjoy watching him perform, and I think he's a great performer. And at 56, he looked fantastic for 56 years old. The match was pretty good, but the DX run-in, then the NWO run-in.
Right.
Then the Shawn Michaels run-in. There was a lot going on, and in the end, I'm not surprised Sting lost because how does he beat Triple H and then on Monday Night Raw the next week or the next night, Triple H is still the authority in charge. Triple H's character has legs and Sting's doesn't.
Sting's doesn't.
So Triple H had to win that match. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they needed the DX and all that stuff. It was kind of cool to see them.
It was nostalgic. It was cool. But I think this is finally putting to bed 1997 Monday Night Wars. I mean, it's never going to get old. I mean, our generation, we love that kind of stuff. We laughed when we saw the NWO come out. I think one of the tweets that we saw compared Sting and the NWO and DX as the new Expendables, which was pretty funny. But, you know, that kind of stuff, it will never go old. And similar to the Expendables, you know, we still watch Sylvester Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Willis together, you know, and we grew up with those guys, but we still want to watch them together. So I think that was cool and nostalgic to a certain extent. But
although we saw the Hall of Fame ceremony from the night before, and Shawn Michaels inducted Kevin Nash into the Hall of Fame, and then the next night they're on separate sides.
And X-Pac's with them, and they're holding hands and they're doing that. And of course, then the next night, Nash is clotheslining X-Pac in the ring, or outside of the ring, right? Yeah. So it was a little confusing, but
what did you make of the handshake?
I think that was great. I do. I think that, and that could be a reason why this could be Sting's one and only match with the WWE.
See, I hope not.
I hope not too. I hope that, here was my prediction. I knew Triple H was going to win this match because you're right. Triple H has legs, and you know, we're not going to see Sting anymore. But what I was hoping for was maybe some sort of tease at some point, maybe at the end of the Undertaker Bray Wyatt match, or even in the end of this match, of a Taker and Sting for next year. We can finally see these two together. It won't be the match that we would want like 10 years ago, but it'd be nice to see these two in the ring, and that would be Sting's final match, because that's what he wanted. He wanted to come to WWE to wrestle Undertaker. So we'll see.
Yeah, and you know, it was really cool to see him in the ring. Overall, though, I don't know where they can take him, and I mean, because Undertaker's not going to be on television. You're very rarely going to see Sting, I would see on TV. So I don't even know how they would get those two to make it work, unless they just said, hey, this is the one that they've always talked about, and now you're going to see it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, that would be, of course, up to the writing in the WWE. I mean, here's what I would do. I would start setting it up tomorrow night on Raw.
I heard Sting is supposed to appear on the Raw after WrestleMania.
Yeah, and that's what I would do. I would have Sting. He would say his farewells, blah, blah, blah. Taker comes out, or Taker gong hit. He doesn't even have to come out. And then you have something brewing. You don't have to have it go every Monday night, but kind of like when Sting showed up at Survivor Series and then he didn't show up for a really long time after that, you know, you have something simmering there, and then you can make it official for WrestleMania 32, Sting versus Undertaker. You know, remember, the Raw after WrestleMania, when Rock and Cena announced that they were going to fight each other at WrestleMania, it was a year before they were actually going to get in the ring. So they could do this with Sting and Undertaker. Yeah. But, again, you got two guys that, they look okay in the ring, that sort of thing, but they're in their 50s.
That's right.
And so now you've got to think about not only health, but you got to think about age and how much energy they have and their endurance in the ring. So it's gonna be tough to watch, I think, next year. It'll be cool, but I think it's gonna be tough to watch.
Cool to see Sting, not cool to see Sting's hair.
Oh, and his bald spot, man. I tweeted this. I wasn't even looking at DX coming out. I still couldn't get my eyes off of that bald spot. And what kind of hair product is he using?
It's like a spray can.
It's like, oh man.
It was funny at one point. Michael Cole, who I gotta be honest, the announcing team is awful. They're terrible. Michael Cole, though, at one point said, "This is humiliating for Sting," and at that point the camera showed his whole hair just out of place, and when his paint comes off the face, you see how high the hair. It's tough to see, but you know, hey, that's what.
I'm just glad he wasn't wrestling in a T-shirt like he did in TNA.
Yeah, the TNA.
I'm glad he got rid of that stomach that he had. I mean, you know, Sting looked like he was working out really, really hard.
Oh yeah, he wanted this.
He wanted this,
and he enjoyed the moment. You saw him walking around the ring and just kind of, you know, I thought that it was really cool to see him in that moment. It was,
and I still think it's 14 years overdue. I'm glad that as a Sting fan, to see him wrestle at WrestleMania. I would rather see that than to go on as a wrestling fan and say, God, you know, Sting never got to be in the WWE, and what matches could we have seen?
Well,
we're still saying that to this day, like what matches could we have seen? But at least we got to see him.
We did see referee Charles Robinson
And his hair looked perfect, by the way.
Referee that match.
Still looked perfect. Yeah.
Let's cruise through these last couple ones here. The IC title, which is on right now, as the replay's on. Daniel Bryan wins the IC.
Yeah.
Good ladder match.
That was great.
A lot of action, but I thought we all thought leading in it was going to be Cena winning that belt, the United, and Bryant winning this belt, and that's what you're going to get. Those two guys now. But we thought that was going to be because Brock Lesnar was going to win and that he'd be off television so that those two belts would have more meaning.
Right.
But now that's not the case.
It's not the case. Well, again, I think now that you have someone like Seth Rollins being the WWE champion, you have a champion every Monday night. And I think that's great. I mean, there's definitely some positives of someone like a Rock or Brock Lesnar holding the WWE championship. But in this case, I think it's great that you have a top heel that's holding the title, and that's exactly what the WWE needs right now. And to get the guys like a Roman Reigns, to get him some more time to grow, and you can get some new faces in there too, and then eventually have a top baby face, turn Cena heel. To me, that would be the ideal situation.
All right, let's talk about the favorite moment of the night. What was the WrestleMania moment?
I definitely love Sting being in the ring again. I love the NWO coming out with Hogan. And the DX, I mean, it was still a little confusing because X-Pac and Shawn Michaels both were in the NWO. X-Pac and Shawn Michaels both were inducting Kevin Nash in the Hall of Fame. We can talk about that reality versus whatever. I thought that was awesome. I thought The Rock and the Ronda Rousey coming in there too was cool. I thought it was a little long, but I still think it was nice. The ladder match I thought was great. I thought it was one of the best matches of the night, and we're watching it right now as Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan are headbutting each other over and over again. But there's no match that really sticks out that goes, oh my God.
No 5-star match.
There was no oh my God matches.
No Spanish announce table broken either.
No, yeah, exactly. So, nothing really shot out to me. And I thought Seth Rollins was going to do a whole lot more against Randy Orton. I mean, it was a good match, but wasn't the 5-star match that you and I saw at Royal Rumble that Seth Rollins put on against Brock Lesnar and John Cena. So overall, I mean, I thought it was a decent WrestleMania. Wasn't the best one, but I think it did exactly what it needed to do. You know,
I thought the build-up was very weak leading up here.
That's part of it, yeah. And we talked about this at the beginning of WrestleMania. We're sitting here like, it doesn't feel like WrestleMania.
Right.
Because the build-up is just as important as the actual pay-per-view.
Yeah, I would say that the build-up was weak, but I thought the actual event was better than I thought it would be, better than the build-up was, and the expectations I had. I think, the Sting coming out really was cool. The fact that you did see the NWO, the DX guys, that was a nice little twist.
Right.
You saw that whole little thing backstage with Ricky Steamboat, Piper, really putting the IC belt over, trying to re-bring that,
that's good.
Out of it. That was cool. The Undertaker, showing back up and that he still can be in the ring. Yeah. But I ultimately for me, the moment of the night was Sting getting his opportunity, and the fact that he lost. I don't think it was that big of a deal. It was the fact that he was in a ring, in a WWE ring, and his entrance and all that stuff. So that was what I'll probably remember from this WrestleMania, which apparently is just WrestleMania now. There's no more numbers.
We're still going to call it WrestleMania 31, 32, 33, but it's still going to be WrestleMania, period. Yeah, and do you honestly think Vince McMahon would allow someone like Sting to beat Triple H? I mean, think about it. He wanted WCW buried. Look at all the WCW wrestlers that came in after the invasion. You got guys like Booker T and Goldberg that, got their push, but they also got buried, and guys like Sting coming in. It was part of the reason why Sting didn't want to come in to begin with. If you watch the Sting documentary and talking about Booker T, and when Booker T first came out and he was in the ring with The Rock, and The Rock looked at him and goes, "Who are you?" And Booker T was one of the best wrestlers of all time in WCW. So that's one of the reasons why Sting didn't come in the WWE. He didn't want to get buried and squashed because of the WCW versus WWE stuff. So I think to a certain extent you have that going on, but I think we will see Sting one more time in a match, and we'll see him definitely tomorrow night on Raw.
All right, that's all for now. We'll have a recap of Raw this week on Pillar to Post. This is the post show of WrestleMania in the books. And, boy, your reaction as well. What did you think? What was your moment? What was your favorite part of the night? Let us know. You can always tweet at Mike Gill Show.
And at Tom Morgan 1049. And always, #Pillar, the number 2, post.
That's it for now, guys. We'll talk to you sometime this week on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel.